Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. This should be fun. Obviously, I partake in football and betting even more so in some ways than I do in horse racing. So,
Yeah, Barry's
this
a
is
legend in the horse game. For those of you,
expanding my horizons here and going into the NFL route. But
hell yeah,
something I
yeah,
do quite a bit. So,
yeah. And we understand. You and I both have winning teams. On the other hand, we'll cover that later. Lou Betya is a Giants fan, so Lou, coming off another tough week. How you doing tonight, man?
We're hopefully tanking for Caleb Williams. Who knows, man?
You done with Danny Dimes? I thought we were still good with Danny Dimes.
If you can get Caleb Williams, you get Caleb Williams, I think, at this point. But good week betting. Nailed Detroit, nailed Atlanta, nailed Pittsburgh. Never a doubt in the Atlanta or the Pittsburgh games. Late slate was good with the Birds. Nighttime game was good with George Kittle touchdown. So nice little prop I added there. And looking for another good week. It's going to be a trend in my bets this week with some the weather's playing a factor in a few big games that I like this week. So
yeah, that's what you were saying. I'm a little concerned with some of those, but we are 5 days out from most of these games, so we are doing our best to pick these with the weather. And we understand that the lines, the spreads, the totals, they all could change by a point or two, and they probably will. But what are you going to do? Let's take a look. Here's a wrap up of my season so far. Personally, I'm 30-20 overall. I'm nailing the totals, folks. 16-7. And just over 500 in the spreads bet, so we're winning at a 60% clip so far. Let's keep that rolling. That's good enough to make some money, folks. So let's jump right in. We have looks like a pretty interesting slate this week. The Thursday night game not being one of those interesting games. I mean, unless you're a Chiefs fan and you like blowouts. But here we go. Denver Broncos going into KC. Let's see. Barry, you want to take this one first? Do you have any? Are you taking any action in this game?
yes, absolutely. I mean, this is one of those games where it's like staring you in the face what is exactly going to happen, and you just can't take the bait as far as the lines or anything else. I mean, it's just Chiefs across the board in all of these. The spread they should cover. The money line is probably the way to go. I mean, I would never bet that. To be honest with you, I'm gonna pause on that one. I would never bet the money line in this game because it's just ridiculous.
I mean, unless you got $1 million to slap down or something.
Right, exactly. And then the under, I think, is definitely on the board there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really. The only thing I'll say is I don't really feel that comfortable with the 10.5. But Lou, where are you at on this one?
Well, Mahomes has never lost to Denver, so if you do have $1 million to slap on that money line,
that's where you
Might
want
be.
to put it.
all right. We got to monitor Kelsey's status. He was limited in practice today, so we don't know if he'll be available. I'm also not sure it matters because Denver is the worst defense in the NFL. Second most yards, most touchdowns, most completion percentage allowed passing wise, most rushing touchdowns allowed on the ground. This team is awful. I don't think they need Kelsey to have a good day productively. I looked at Kansas City's team totals, 29.5. It's a little too much for me. I might look at a first half spread. Under 7 points seems all right to me for Kansas City. And Denver, surprisingly, even though this feels like an under, Denver surprisingly 4-1 to the over this year.
And I'll add too on the over side, Denver's games on average totals between themselves and their opponent is 60 plus on average, which is crazy.
We have an outlier in there with the 90-point game, but still.
live footage of the Denver Broncos practice facility this week. Just
One of the things that I've noticed with that team is, for whatever reason, I guess the other teams just kind of pack it up late in the game, but they do a lot of scoring in the third, fourth quarter. It's really, their calling card, because they get such a hole early. It's so hard for them to get out. They're just not good enough. And then when the defense starts to play well, it's a little bit too late, and the game's over. And I think that's probably what we're going to see again here. Another slow start by the Broncos, and then the Chiefs are going to come out running. And, you have to expect them to be very, very high this week, because this is a game they are expected to win. They should win. So I expect them to come out really, really good early and continue out in the second half. But if they can slow down the Broncos late, I still think the under might be a good play.
Yeah, I don't have a high confidence level in this game at all, especially in the spread, especially without knowing about Kelsey. But we'll move on from that one. That's just the Thursday night game. Let's see. What do we got next? We got Baltimore Ravens. This is a London game. And, dude, I mean, the most disinteresting game of the board every week is the Europe game to me because, first of all, you're screwing a team out of a home game. I don't know. It's maybe I'm just an asshole about it, but we've got Baltimore going in -3.5 into Tennessee, into London. So really there is no home field advantage. But Lou, you got a strong opinion on this game at all? Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's no soccer on Sunday morning because it's an international break, so I can't even. So I'm gonna have to watch this game. But yeah, I'd lean Baltimore. I'd lean Baltimore -3.5 here. I know they're both coming off kind of gut punching losses last week, but Tennessee was more outplayed, whereas Baltimore just shot themselves in the foot. Receivers dropping passes left and right. I thought Justice Hill had a nice game. I can see Baltimore getting right here. I just think they're the way more talented team, and they can beat Tennessee deep with a couple of passes here. So probably looking at something like 23-17, some ugly. And it's not even going to play that exciting, but give me Baltimore. No bet for me at the moment, and probably won't get there.
Barry, what's your thoughts on this game?
I really don't like this game. These two teams are way too evenly matched for my liking to actually plunk down a bet. But I would say if I was going to venture out and kind of play this game, I would lean towards Tennessee getting the points just because, these two teams are really closely matched up. It's just tough because Lamar Jackson really hasn't had a great game yet. He's due. He's going to get one. This might be the one, but I don't know. It's just too tough for me all the way around.
Yeah, I agree. I had this game at 19-17. I mean, that's my numbers. Obviously, it's not going to be 19-17, but somewhere in that territory. I do like the under a little bit. I've got this thing. I mean, Ryan Tannehill is terrible, and this team cannot score unless Derrick Henry, the ghost of Derrick Henry, who looked great a couple weeks ago, by the way, but unless he runs for 3 touchdowns and goes crazy, I don't see them scoring much. And Lamar and the Ravens, they just haven't had to score a whole lot. This game looks like an under to me, but that's a tread lately type bet, and I definitely don't like the spread here. If anything, Barry, I'd lean toward you with Tennessee, just taking the points at home, or in London. But it's too close. I don't like this game either. Let's look at the next one, boys. Minnesota, without Justin Jefferson, by the way, it looks like he's out for at least a few weeks. That sucks for Vikings fans and fans in general because he's one of the best in the business. At Chicago, +2.5, the Bears. Now, listen, I hate the Bears. You guys know this. I'm a NFC North guy. I hate both of these teams, but I will say that Justin Fields, after coming off of what looked like an absolute embarrassment, has really kind of redeemed himself and put himself back to what I think a lot of us thought he could do this year. He's looked pretty solid the last couple games. Minnesota looks horrible. I mean, they look every bit as bad as the Bears. Then you take Jefferson away. I don't know that I have the confidence. This is another game. I don't know whether I have the confidence to bet this game or not. But I will say I'd fully expect the Bears to win this one outright. You got a +125 money line here. Let's see. What's the over-under here? We got 46.
My book has it at 44.5 now too, so it's dropping.
Yeah, I actually like the over. And here's why, because both of these teams' defenses suck.
Play zero defense.
Yeah, they both suck. Fields is getting on point. I mean, Cousins always scores. Without Jefferson, I don't know. They still have some weapons. Hawkinson's a good weapon. They have what's the rookie's name? Not Osborne.
Addison.
Yeah,
Addison.
thank you. They got some weapons there. I mean, JJ is obviously a huge loss, but I like the over. I like the Bears a little bit. But again, tread lightly. I'm not going crazy on this game either. Barry, thoughts on the Vikings at Bears?
I'm actually kind of leaning the same way you are with the over. But I have to say that Minnesota probably has just too many weapons although Kirk Cousins likes to keep everybody in games.
Yes, it's a great way of
So,
saying it.
you know, I'd have to lean towards Minnesota, but honesty, I really don't like this game all that much. But if I had, you held a gun in my head and said pick one, I'm going Minnesota and the over, because these two teams don't play too much defense.
No, they do not. Lou, you got an opinion here?
Yeah, I'm going to play the Bears money line. I got a couple of reasons I like it. This is one of the first games we will mention where the weather is supposed to be absolutely shitty. It's going to be close to 20-mile-an-hour winds. It's going to be raining all day. You have a dome.
We'll have to monitor that for that over, Barry.
You're going to have a dome team that is now having negative regression from last year. All they did was win close games and get every single bounce. Now you see it's the football gods that are punishing Minnesota. You're giving me a game in terrible weather where there's going to be fumbles. And you're giving me a game where the ground game is going to be really important. And I'm going to take Fields and Herbert over Cam Akers. I don't care whoever else runs for Minnesota right now. It doesn't really matter in Madison. I'll take Fields and those guys all day in a game where you're probably going to have to keep the ball on the ground. I don't trust Cousins in windy, rainy conditions, especially down his main weapon. If you like Minnesota, I guess Hawkinson's a prop to look at. But I just think the Bears can make this ugly, keep it on the ground. I think the over can get there just from rushing as well.
Yeah.
Minnesota can't stop.
They can't stop each other. Yeah.
Right.
But give me that plus money on the Bears. They're a team at least, and they got 3 extra days rest too, which I think is very important here. So
if you're a Lions fan like I am, the beauty is both of these teams suck, and I don't care who wins or loses. They both are terrible.
And if I may add one more prediction,
go ahead.
This might be the last game Kirk Cousins plays in Minnesota.
You think?
Yeah,
they always say that he's always the guy that they're like, he's on his way out.
I think at 1-5. I think at 1-5. I think at 1-5 they may have to shop him, and at that point, maybe they keep Jefferson shut down the rest of the year because there's really no incentive to bring him back.
That's true.
Yeah, they're not going to go anywhere this year.
So Kirk to the Jets.
49ers, the consensus best team in the NFL, 49ers. I would hope you guys agree with that. Going into Cleveland, which is not an easy spot. Cleveland's a pretty good team right now, to be honest. 49ers -5 on the road. And guys, I've got big opinions on this game. Lou, why don't you take this one away? Because this is, first of all, you agree this is the best team in the NFL, right?
100%. 100%. And I think the second best team in the league is probably the Eagles. And they are on a collision course down, I believe, in week 13. So that being said, I have a parlay with the Niners and the Eagles, just the money lines. It was plus 103. I feel like they're both safe. This is another game where the weather's going to be terrible. That whole pocket of the country is going to be rainy and windy. I know Watson's going to be back. It's another game where I trust Purdy a lot more than I trust Watson, and Purdy will just manage the game. He won't have to throw more than 5-6 yards.
We're trusting Purdy more than Watson, and I trust the Niners more than I trust the Browns, but that's kind of a.
But they won't ask Purdy to do much. They're just going to ask Purdy to throw short passes, screens to McCaffrey. I'm all for that. I can't get to this total. Like I said, I like the money line for the Niners. Maybe look at a first half line here if you can get it at like 3 or 2.5. But I think this is probably a really ugly game, and I can see the second half being just absolutely boring to watch.
Barry, where are you at on this one?
Yeah, Purdy kind of reminds me of back in the day when Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl, where it was like, you just don't suck. Don't throw any picks, manage the game, stay within yourself. And I think that works really well. Even when they won before San Francisco with Garoppolo, they kind of did the same thing. He didn't really get in his own way or make so many mistakes that it just overshadows everything and gives games away. But as far as this game goes, I can't make heads or tails of it, to be honest. I think, and I would like to think that the San Francisco 49ers would have the edge here, but I'm not so sure, because of the weather, and getting Watson back does make a difference. And I think that's why this line is kind of lower than what you probably would normally see. That being said, I really don't have too big of opinions on either of these teams in this game. So I would pass. I don't like any of these bets.
All right. I'll take the 49ers. I think they cover here. I wouldn't say easily, but
They should.
They should, and with moderate confidence. And I'm very confident in the over here. I've got it at 39 on one sheet, and let's see, 38.5 on the other. So it's bouncing around in there. I think the Niners can hang that number in any game by themselves. And that's just based on their amount of weapons they have on that team. They can score quickly. Their defense scores a lot. Dominant. And the Browns aren't exactly a terrible offense either. I mean, they're middle of the road. They're a little better than people give them credit for. I don't know what the weather is. Lou, that was your concern on a few of these games, and we are starting to get into the nasty time of year for outdoor stadiums. Aside from that, I like the over here. I like San Francisco. I mean, how do you not bet San Francisco? They've been killing people. I mean, they just beat Dallas by 30 or whatever, and Dallas was supposed to be a contender, which I think we all know they're a fraud. At least I know it. New Orleans Saints -1.5 going into Houston, which has got to be the biggest surprise of the whole NFL this year. The Houston Texans playing some good ball behind that rookie, C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State. And I'll be honest, I thought he was going to suck this year. I thought they were going to be horrible. I thought they were a 2 or 3 win team. And here they are playing competitive, and they're blowing a couple teams out here. Barry, your opening opinion on the Saints at Texans?
I like this one a lot. I like the Texans. New Orleans just seems like a team that's kind of washed, even though they play okay. They're kind of middle of the road, almost akin to Cleveland, in my opinion. I think Houston has a lot more upside in general with their talent throughout their whole team. Just have to get a little older and wiser. But I do love the spread here. I'm definitely taking Houston +1.5.
Got to take the point.
Got it. The money line also with Houston, and I'd have to say the over actually seems a little good here too, because these teams aren't so great defensively. They're not bad. They're not great. So I think they can score some points. Over 41, I think they can do.
Lou, where are you at on this one? Because I kind of like the under, to be honest, but it's kind of, I mean, New Orleans, Carr's not right? I mean, go ahead. Tell me what you got here.
I'm with the sniper on Houston. I love the spot for the Texans.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about how we liked Atlanta. Anybody betting Houston, we thought it was a trap spot. Atlanta at home was going to be really tough for Stroud. Just a weird spot for them. I think this week we're getting the exact opposite, where New Orleans is coming off a thrashing. Look, shutting down anybody in the NFL is like that's a good win. But man, the Patriots are all in disarray. A lot of short fields. I think it's a really weird, this line should probably be Texans -2.5. We're getting +1.5 because of that game. I love taking advantage of that. Stroud did not play badly last week either. I mean, Atlanta just played really well, ran the ball well. The Saints can't run the ball like Atlanta can. I don't trust the Saints secondary. I think Stroud can make a few big plays. I love Houston here. I don't have a strong feeling about the total either way. Saints defense hasn't been bad, but I don't think it's been tested. So it's tough to say. Their metrics are all skewed now because of the shutout too.
So here's a question for both of you. If you take the points, 1.5, I mean, the money line is only +103 according to the Fox Sports site here. I don't know how accurate that is now because it's changing. But at that rate, don't you just take the 1.5? I mean,
absolutely, because I've been burned so many times by this.
Yeah,
where
if it's +130 or something, you consider it. But
yeah,
just take the points, babe.
I have +105 and I have +1.5 is -112. Don't get greedy. Like right. I'll take the point. It's fine by me.
Texans, man, they're looking good. I don't know. The reason I like this game though is not because of the Texans so much, but I think the Saints are bad. All right, let's move. Washington Commanders coming off a ass kicking at Atlanta, and Atlanta's pretty good, guys. I mean, their quarterback's horrible, but the Falcons -2.5, over under is 42. Barry, give me something.
This is another one that these teams are really, really close, talent-wise, roster-wise. It's tough, especially since Atlanta last week at home played pretty good against a decent Texans team. they should have the momentum coming in this game. I would expect them to win, but it's just too shaky. They feel like they're on the verge of disaster all the time, and I just can't trust them. So I'm staying away from this game completely. The numbers aren't even that great enough to entice me to bet. So we're gonna pass here.
Lou, what do you got on this one?
I like Atlanta. Ritter undefeated at home. Small sample size, sure. Look, I thought he played probably his best game as a pro last week. I know it's not
absolutely.
a ton, but Washington's secondary is bottom 5 in the league. And more importantly, their rushing defense is bottom 5 in the league. So Ritter probably won't have to do much. That was an embarrassing loss. I know Washington has a few extra days, but I think in this case, just letting that loss sit was not great. And I kind of think Ron Rivera might be on his way out from some rumblings I'm reading. This may seal his fate. Maybe Bieniemy takes over the team. Be well deserved for him to get a head coaching gig. But I like that Atlanta will be able. I think Atlanta's secondary's played pretty well. I think they'll be able to limit Howell. I think they'll be able to chew tons of time off the clock here, keep Washington's defense on the field, and I like a little BS 17-10 kind of win here for Atlanta.
Yeah, I have Atlanta in my notes. I have Atlanta's like the best of the bad teams, or the teams that, are kind of middle of the road. They're really good. I mean, in spite of Ritter, I think Ritter's horrible.
If you gave them a mediocre quarterback, would you rate?
Yeah, I think they're really good. I mean, obviously that running game with those two, Bijan and Algier, I mean, second to none. You got Pitts, tight end. You got a lot of talent on that team. Yeah, you give them a middle of the road, like you said. I don't know. You even throw Sam Howell on that team, and I think you got a club. But yeah. I don't trust him, but I do like him in this spot. I think Washington's on the verge, like you said, Lou. I think you said I think they're on the verge of falling completely apart, like Denver is. I mean, you got some teams that are on the verge of like, let's start playing for the number 1 pick type atmosphere, and Washington falls in that. Even though I think they're 2-3, aren't they? The record's fine, but they suck.
They had a 1-point win against Arizona in there. They barely beat Arizona to start the year as one of their wins. So I don't know.
They're really 1-4,
and they beat Denver, right? So I mean, yeah,
medium confidence in any case in that one. Seattle plus 2.5 going into Cincinnati. And it looked like Cincinnati finally got right. Burrow looked good finally. Jamar Chase, biggest game in his career, biggest game in Cincinnati Bengals history, I think, as far as receptions went at least. Lou, what do you have on Seattle plus 2.5 at Cincy?
Okay, so this is the last of the really bad weather games, but I don't even care for this. So I have a couple of things I like. One, I think Seattle's a good teaser piece here. You're getting them to 8.5. You're crossing 2 key numbers. I think this game probably plays competitively no matter what. Seattle's coming off a bye week, so nice spot there. Bengals have some momentum, but let's ease the brakes. It's the Arizona Cardinals. Yes, it was a good win. Yes, it was the one we were all wrong on this panel last week. We all had Arizona. That's okay. Burrow looked healthy. But the one thing that leans me towards Seattle is that we're probably going to get Devin Witherspoon against Jamar Chase. And if there's anybody in the league that's looking good enough to at least slow down Chase, it might be him. He's looked absolutely lights out this year. Yeah. I don't know who else steps up for Cincinnati. I mean, without T. Higgins, I don't know if I trust Tyler Boyd to get a ton of target share in this game. But I like Seattle. And I do like the over here. I don't think it's a lot of points for these kind of teams. I think Geno Smith's looked good enough. I don't trust Cincinnati's secondary. I don't trust Mixon to be able to do much. I think Cincinnati's going to have to throw the ball. I think Seattle wins like a 27-24 game here.
Barry, what do you got on this one?
I do like the over in this game also, but I'm going to take Cincinnati and the points or, giving up points.
Cincy minus 2.5,
yeah. They just, I think last week really sparked something they needed as a team chemistry wise. They really weren't playing well. And I know it was Arizona and they're not the greatest team, but I think this is something that Cincinnati can build upon, especially with the last 2 seasons being what they were for them. Their expectation level was way higher, and I just think they're a better team than Seattle. Seattle coming off the bye week is a factor because they're definitely going to be fresh for this game, but Cincinnati at home, I'm going to take them in the over.
Yeah, Cincy. I mean, Seattle's solid. I mean, they've looked real solid. But yeah, Cincinnati, when they're right, and it looks like they finally may have gotten right last week. I mean, I'm
hoping.
a Burrow guy. I love Burrow. I think he's as good as anybody. But they look like shit the first few games. They looked good last week. Seattle's looked good every week. Geno Smith, I think, is one of the underrated players in the league right now too. But yep, I've got Seattle plus the 2.5. But man, this is a scary one. My numbers all lean to Seattle. Take Seattle. I mean, with confidence. That's what my numbers say. Eyeball test. I don't know, man. Especially with Burrow coming off of that game. I don't know. I think I would take Seattle with the points, but it's close. So it's going to be a good one. I'm interested to see how Cincinnati responds coming off a good game because they have been miserable all year up until then. And here we go. Barry's Fish hosting in the worst team in the league by far. I mean, the Lions just put 42 on them with half of their team on the bench, half of them in the hospital, and they still hung a 42 piece on the pathetic Carolina Panthers. And Bryce Young looks like a scared child when he's otherwise looked very composed in his career. So no disrespect to Bryce Young, but he looked scared out there. And Barry, talk to me about your Miami Dolphins, who are looking like one of the best teams in the league for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The fastest show on turf, part 2. But I don't think Carolina. This is not a good matchup for Carolina. They don't have the players. They don't have the speed. They don't have the speed on defense. They don't have the speed on offense. This could get ugly, almost Denver-like ugly. Probably not that bad, but I think Miami does win.
They're not going to throw 70 down.
No.
That was incredible.
I do think Miami does win this outright. Covering the spread. I'm not so inclined to make a bet on this one just because of that. I mean, it could get out of hand, but it's just too shaky because it could get out of hand early and then pull all the starters and something crazy happens. But as far as everything else, the over seems like the play here too, because Miami's been lighting it up and I don't see them slowing down against Carolina.
Yeah, Lou, what do you have on this one? If you want, I can give you my piece, and it's real simple. The points, it seems like a little bit too much on the points. I don't know why. My numbers all say that. My analytics tools say be careful with this spread because it seems trappy. But again, with the eyeball test, this thing, they might win by 50, guys. And to comment on Barry's comment about the over, I think Miami is very capable of hitting 48.5 by themselves.
Yeah.
By themselves. And Carolina, I mean, the Lions just hung 42 on them. And the Lions didn't have two of their best weapons out there. So, Lou, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Georgia's playing Vanderbilt this weekend, and I kind of feel like I'm looking at
That's exactly
Georgia
right.
Vanderbilt here.
D2 school.
And I'm debating taking the 31.5 with Georgia.
Barry's what would it take for you to take Carolina? I mean, 25?
If I know that everybody's out for Miami.
Right. Yeah.
If it's like everybody from parts unknown is playing in this game, like is the only way I would take it.
If I'm playing, then yeah.
But one of the
three of us are lining up at wideout.
Sometimes you find a bet you ride all year because it just seems to hit every single time. And Miami's first half team totals have kind of just been smashing all year. It's 15.5. You need 3 scores here, but like how many 3 and outs is Bryce Young going to get? And then you're avoiding them sitting players at the end. Look, Devin Akane's out now for 4 weeks. So I can see a world where Mostert maybe gets some rest by the third quarter. They pull him.
Yeah.
And they just want to get all their guys out of there.
I wouldn't play any props for that reason because I think it could get out of hand in the first half. And, Tua and the boys might be sitting on the bench by the third quarter.
So I don't like to do 3 possessions typically in the first half of games in the pros. I'll do it in college. But again, if I think this is basically like a college game with a guy who was a really good college quarterback and not so good in the pros yet, Miles Sanders hasn't gotten anything really going yet. I think Miami just 3 and outs this team to death. Probably gets a turnover in the red zone. And I think hits the 15.5 pretty easily. I mean, they hit it pretty easily last week, and they had a red zone turnover. They had a red zone turnover and still drove down the field in like a minute. It didn't matter.
Yeah, you guys should hang up. I know you both are millionaires, multimillionaires, so hang $1 million on the money line for Miami. It's minus 886, which means you're going to get about 110 grand back or whatever it is.
You parlay it with Kansas City, right?
Yeah,
There
you
you
just
go.
money line Miami. Yeah, you can parlay it, whatever you got to do. You make a quick 100 grand.
Minus 345 if you parlay them, by the way.
Oof.
Doesn't seem terrible.
I still like it. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I like it a lot. Here we go. Now we're getting into a game that I think is really interesting. Richardson's out, right, for the Colts. +4 going into Jacksonville, and this has been Jacksonville, dude. Before the season started, I thought this was a potential Super Bowl team. I mean, I wasn't going that far, maybe, but definitely in the conversation. With Trevor Lawrence taking big steps last year, they look great. Travis Etienne's great. They have been like Jekyll and Hyde. Lou, where are you at on the Colts in Jacksonville? This game is super interesting to me.
Well, it's interesting. This opened at 4.5, and I'm seeing 4s out there. I saw 3.5 out there. So some money's come in on the Colts. There's an interesting spot here where when you have teams coming off a long road trip, which Jacksonville is, I know they were the home team in the London games,
right?
But when you have teams coming off long road trips, especially coming off a big win like that against Buffalo, they're a nice fade candidate. There's the narrative with Gardner Minshew, like making his return. So you have that in play. But I like with Taylor back, they still used Zach Moss a lot last week. I think there's a case to be made. They're almost running a similar offense to Atlanta where they can have a two-headed monster. Minshew's way better than Ritter, but Minshew, again, doesn't really have to do too much. And that offense is running nicely. I don't know what's wrong with Jacksonville, but I kind of feel like Indy can get up for this game, like big time. So I like the Colts.
Love to see it. Love to see it. See it.
I love the Colts to cover here. And that road trip thing, I think, is real.
Ursay loved it too. He loved that you're going with the Colts. Barry, where you at?
I'm right with him. I think this is a big time trap game for the Jags, especially coming back after 2 weeks in London. Yeah, their offense really hasn't been what it should be, and they still didn't look that good, even though they did beat the Bills, who, I think personally their window is kind of closing very fast.
Yeah, 100% agree.
But I think Indianapolis is a team on the rise here, and especially against a Jacksonville team that's kind of been wishy-washy.
Totally.
In this whole season so far. So I'm all about Indianapolis here, taking the spread, taking the money line, taking the over.
And as much of a freak show as Richardson looks like he could be great, he reminds me a lot of Cam Newton. But at this point in his career, being so young and inexperienced, I don't think Minshew's a downgrade at all, maybe even an upgrade. I'm not scared. I like the Colts too. And you know what? I actually took it off. I have them at like a medium to high confidence level, and I'm sitting there going, man, without Richardson, and I'm like, that they got Minshew, and you're right, Lou. That's a story. And as far as the over under goes in this game, let's see what I have here. Damn, I suck at reading. I'm old and blind. It's very important, by the way. So,
being old and blind.
Yeah, all the above.
I know what it's like to be old and blind. So it's,
I don't know. I don't know if I can go with the over. I don't feel confident on this at all. 46.5 feels about right, but all three of us going with the Colts. I bet you that's a hot take for a lot of people. What do you think, Ursay?
Love to see it. Love to see it. See it.
All right, here we go. I love that guy. What a piece of shit of a human that guy is, huh? New England Patriots. Now, we were just talking before we hit record here, folks, about teams that are just in disarray, a clown show, a circus car. We talked about the Giants. We talked about the Bears. The Patriots might be the worst of them all, guys. Barry, Patriots +3, going into another bad team, the Raiders. They won last night, but that is not a good team either. This is a tough one, though.
This is
where you at?
one of the iterations of the toilet bowl that we'll see. Because both these teams are like in the worst way. Although Las Vegas didn't look all that bad last night. But I'm still
At least they have some
taking a
players.
pass.
Right?
They do, and I would take them in this spot if you really made me. But otherwise, these two teams are really bad and they're really evenly matched. And yes, dumpster fires on both sides.
Both sides.
But I would stay away from this. I'd probably lean, if I was going to play anything, it'd be the under.
Lou, are you out on this one? Because I agree. It's under is the only play, and I don't even like that much.
21 and a half years ago, these teams played maybe one of the most important games in NFL history.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And now
Drew Bledsoe game.
And now we have this.
Oh, the Brady, the
tuck rule, the
tuck
rule.
Tuck rule.
And now it's come.
Is it Rich Gannon?
And now it's come to this.
Yes.
Now we have this game. Complete pass for me. All I want to say is in a division where Staley is a head coach, somehow Josh McDaniels is a worse coach after, I don't know what he's thinking last night. Just run the ball on 4th and 1, put the game away. It doesn't matter. I don't know what he's doing. I think the Raiders have more talent at every position defensively, even the secondary now, which was their weakness because the Patriots are so beat up. So Raiders should probably be more than 3 here. I think McDaniels really wants to stick it to Belichick. Belichick looks mentally checked out this year. There's no answers. Yeah. He keeps pulling Mac Jones and putting him back in too. So he doesn't really know what he wants to do.
Yeah, he's like a confused grandpa marching up and down the sidelines. But I'm with you guys.
I'm not betting this at all.
Gun to my head, Raiders and under, but I don't like this game at all. I agree 100%. Stay away, folks. We don't know. You don't know what you're going to get. I think you could see anything from a Raiders blowout. You might see Belichick quit on the sidelines. It wouldn't be surprised. Here's one for you, folks. Arizona Cardinals, who I think are out kicking their coverage a little bit themselves. They're another team like who'd we say a little while ago that was playing a little bit better than we expected. Houston. They're a little bit better than we expected with Dobbs. And coming into the LA Rams, Stafford looks right. I mean, he looks as good as he's looked in at least the last few years. Rams minus 6.5. And here's what I've got in my notes. I'll go first on this one, and then I'll let you guys go because this is another game, guys. I like Arizona plus 6.5, but only because of the points. I think the Rams are definitely going to win this, but at minus 282 money line and 6.5, that's a lot of points. I think Vegas nailed the over under at 48. Can't bet that. It's too many points for the Rams. Gun to my head again on this one. I'll take the Cardinals, but not without a whole lot of doubt. So I wouldn't bet this game. Again, if you're a degenerate who needs some action, Arizona. Lou?
I'm a degenerate that needs some action. But I have a different angle on this game, and this is one of my favorite bets of the week. I love the over here. And the biggest reason is both defenses were on the field for more than 70% of the snaps last week. And this is one of those spots where you have two gas defenses. I know that Connor's out. I know the Rams are just starting to get healthy. I love the over here. Love it. And the Cardinals put up points against the Niners and moved the ball really well. The Cardinals moved the ball well against the Bengals. They just had some untimely picks. This team can move the ball. I think the Rams can absolutely move the ball. I mean, they moved the ball all right against the Eagles, whose defense played really well, whose defense typically plays pretty well. I love the over here. If I had to take a side, I'd take the Cardinals. They seem to cover a lot in this rivalry, no matter what the state of their team is. But I really love the over this week a lot.
Barry, what do you have in this one?
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning the same way, taking the Cardinals and the points, but everything else is a little shaky. I mean, you're right about the Cardinals, moving the ball and playing pretty good against San Fran, but they've been just so inconsistent, and that's what scares me about this game. But they tend to play teams like the Rams pretty tough, so I think they can cover. I just don't think they're going to win, and I would be inclined to bet the over just off of what Lou was saying with the defenses.
Good point. Yeah, neither defense is great, and Dobbs is one of those creators. He's kind of fun to watch. I'm not sure how long he's going to last in the league playing the way he's playing, but
he's probably earned a backup job for like the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, he's exciting. He's good. He's definitely belongs in the league, folks. Philadelphia, who one of you guys said, and I'm trying to recall, who thought that Philly was the second best team in the NFL.
NFC. I said NFC. I didn't mean to say NFL. I meant NFC.
Okay, which I still disagree with, but not by much. And there's a reason why. If you can look at my ball cap here, you can probably figure it out. But Philly's strong, -6.5 on the road at the New York Jets, who are kind of looking a little bit revived at least. Barry, go.
I got Philly winning this by 10, at least. I can't see the Jets competing for much in this game. I mean, they may hang tough possibly in the first quarter, but as soon as Hurts gets comfortable and finds his targets, it's going to be curtains. So yeah, the spread, definitely taking it. There you go.
Z Will's mom on the board here.
And then the -285, the money line, I just can't do it. But I would be inclined to take the over also, because I think they're going to score, or at least Philly could actually score 42 on their own.
You guys are higher on the Eagles than I am. Lou, go ahead. Not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't know that I have that kind of faith in them.
I mean, they did just make the Super Bowl, so like they're not, and they're undefeated. So like they're not.
I think I'm just a hater on them, to be honest.
So Jalen
Hurts is an MVP candidate for sure.
So I parlayed them with the Niners. I got like +103, like I said earlier in the show. I think they're a good teaser spot here. I think they cover outright. I mean, the only weakness the Eagles really have right now is the secondary. They're banged up. Like you got Job, who might be the worst player in the NFL in their secondary. Like,
no way he's worse than Eli Apple.
He's pretty bad though. Like I mean, he's not the worst player, but he's a very obvious liability. But Zach Wilson's not the kind of guy that's going to exploit it. I think the Eagles can just crowd the box, try to limit Breece Hall as best as they can. Denver,
Breece Hall's a stud, dude.
I know, but the Eagles front four and the way they rotate their depth should at least be able to limit him more than he's been limited. And then if the Jets are in a script where they have to throw to get back in the game, that's this thing
dead. Curtain show if that's the case.
So and I like the spread. I like the money line and the parlay. They're a great teaser spot. There's a lot of good teaser spots this week. I don't love teasers, but this is a really good one.
Guys, I'm stepping on the other side. I like the MILF Hunter here at 6.5 at home. I mean, I hate that kid. I hate him worse than anything. I hate Zach Wilson. I do like Robert Saleh, though. I like the Jets' mentality coming into this year. I mean, you saw the hard knocks with Rodgers. That was kind of a shit show, the way that worked out for them. The Jets have been playing some ball lately, and at 6.5, and the Eagles, by the way, they have been guilty. They're like the Lions were last year. They're playing down to their competition. They're not putting their foot on anybody's throat. They're playing field goal games. I just think this is going to be closer. I don't think they're going to beat the Eagles, but I definitely think that this could be a field goal game at the end. And I don't know. Is it possible that Zach Wilson's not as horrible as we thought? I mean, I don't want to give the kid any credit, but the last couple of weeks, he's been a little better, guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm giving him credit. He's not that bad. I know my buddy Chuck Simon was amazed that I gave him some credit last week.
You hated it. Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, he's not as bad. They're just in disarray. I mean, they went to Plan B without even thinking that Plan B was an option. So, without Rodgers, they got nothing.
I do like the over. Whoever said that, I agreed with you. I think, were we all on the over?
I know I was.
I just don't have a feeling about it either way. But
okay, I like Philly to hang. I mean, this could be my numbers came out in this game 24-20, so a mild over. Nothing not too strong. Let's see here. Well, I got a couple games left here. We got the Lions. My Lions, -3 heading into Tampa. Tampa coming off the bye week. Screaming trap game for the Lions, who are the best Lions team we've seen in Detroit in maybe ever. I mean, since the 50s anyway. My lifetime for sure. Team looks great. I'm a little fearful of this game. And since it's my team, I'll just go ahead and go first. This is the only game on this card that I'm not betting anything. And it's not because I'm afraid to bet the Lions. It's because my numbers tell me that Vegas nailed this. -3, which we all know 3 points is about what the home team gets. It's right. This spread's right. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions beat them by 20 either, though. I don't expect Tampa to beat us, but it's a little bit scary. I do like the over, if anything, because the Lions are another one of those teams that can strike real quick. So, Barry, give me some opinions and go easy on my Lions. I know nobody else believes in them as much as I do.
Yeah, I think, you might be the only one that might remotely like them in this game because I do not. I think Tampa is actually pretty good.
They are.
They're healthy. Baker has not kind of done anything crazy or, thrown bad picks or his usual. And I think that's a plus because he's got some weapons. Godwin's very good. Mike Evans is the guy. I mean, he has people to throw to. They have a decent offense. They can hang with the Lions. I think that if there is any time that the Lions can get beat, it's going to be this week. Coming off the bye.
I'm with you. That's why I'm not betting.
With Tampa coming off the bye, it just seems like the perfect storm of an upset. But it's a home dog, so it's not.
I will say
too
this,
much.
Barry. I'm with you. I'm not betting this game, but Lou, before you go, have your opinion. I'm going to say this one thing: the Lions have absolutely devastated scrambling quarterbacks, and that's their bread and butter right now. If you can't throw, if you're not a pocket passer that can throw the ball downfield, you're dead. And Baker Mayfield has never been a throw the ball downfield guy.
No,
he's kind of a backyard Johnny Manziel slinging around the yard thing. That ain't going to work against my guys. But even with that said, I still don't feel confident. Lou, where are you at in this one?
I love the over here. And maybe I like Mayfield a little better than most. I have a soft spot for this guy.
Yeah, he's pretty good, though. He's always been good.
He's scrappy, dude.
He won me all the money when he played at Oklahoma. All the money. So, he'll always have a place in my heart just for his run at Oklahoma.
He went to Carolina. They suck. Of course,
they were no good.
He did shitty there.
He's finally in a good spot where he has some weapons. Tampa Bay scored 20 points in 3 of the 4 games. Only game they didn't was against the Eagles, which was the Eagles just absolutely handcuffed them and rammed down their throats. And Detroit has won 3 straight games by 14 or more, which is just
crazy,
incredible to think of. I think this is the game of the week. I think this is going to end up being a crazy shootout, like a 31-28 style game. I'm not picking a side because I do feel like it's trappish, but I think this game flies way over the total. And the weather's supposed to be good. One of the few games supposed to be good. So
I have the over, but only by a couple points, so not a huge play on paper. But I agree. Eyeball test, the Lions are and Tampa, they both can score. It could go. It could be a wild one, like you said.
I mean, 30-24 Detroit, it's very realistic to me in this game.
Sure. Yeah, this is definitely the game I'm going to be watching.
And Laporta to have 9,000 yards.
Yeah. The rookie of the year, already on a Hall of Fame measure through 5 games, whatever that's worth.
It's a good thing you're not biased.
No, totally. New York Giants, and here we go with just a live abortion clinic being performed on NBC on Sunday Night Football. The New York Giants go into Buffalo, one of the worst teams in the league, going into one of the best teams. What the hell is this? Lou, it's Lou's club. We'll let him go first. And why are they even playing this? This is a game where they should just not play it, honestly.
So Danny Jones says he's on track to play Sunday. I don't care who plays behind this offensive line. It really doesn't matter.
You're right.
I wanted to bet the Giants first half team total under, since they've still yet to score an offensive touchdown this year. It's 7.5, and it's minus 150. So like I can't even take that.
Wow, that is bad.
I'm passing completely. No props, no nothing, just misery. Beer and misery.
Barry, 14 points in a 44.5. Do you see any way to make money in this game?
Yeah, take the Giants and the under. That's pretty much it. I mean, there's really not much to say. The Giants kind of speak for themselves, as how bad they've been, but they're not the worst, and the Bills haven't been playing all that great. So I can see the Giants maybe covering this. I'm not that confident, but the under, I don't know either. I mean, that's really tight because
Buffalo tend to play down. They tend to play down to whoever they're playing. They like to get way more drama than they need to.
Right. That's kind of like what happened in London with Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Is they played probably down to that level and ended up getting beat. So
14's a lot of points in NFL.
It is.
Boy,
it is. That's why I would just probably bet that.
But would anybody be shocked if Buffalo beat them 40-7 or something? I mean,
nope. It's definitely a possibility. So.
And that over under at 44.5 feels about right to me. I can't get excited about this game betting wise at all. There's live coverage of the Giants practice facility.
I mean, the numbers are telling you this game's probably 30-14. So like right on the number. That's about what they're telling you it's going to be. I don't even know.
Funny, dude. You said that 30-14. My numbers say 32-13. So
if the Giants scored 14, I'd be shocked. Especially, and if Tyrod Taylor comes in, revenge angle. No,
Tyrod Taylor's probably better than Danny Dimes right now.
He's not better. He's not.
He can move. I guess Jones can move too. I don't know.
The O-line's so bad, it just does not matter.
It's terrible. It reminds me of the early years of Matt Stafford. As a Lions fan, I've seen that movie about 300 times.
It's like guessing you're playing Tecmo Bowl, where everybody just blitzes you and like 84 people sack you at the same time.
Monday Night Football should be an interesting one. You got Dallas -2 going into LA Chargers. What's the Chargers record, folks? I don't have it in front of me. They're kind of a disappointment who needs a big win here at home against Dallas.
2-2.
2-2.
They're coming off a bye week, they're coming off beating the. No, they had a bye week after beating the Raiders.
So Dallas is arguable. I think they're a fraud. I think they're always a fraud. I think Dak Prescott sucks. The rest of that team's okay. I like Herbert. Obviously, everybody does. Eckler's a god, but this is a good game, folks. I mean, I'm the biggest detractor on the Cowboys in the history of any football game ever. Lou, give it to me. Dallas at Chargers. What do you like here?
So you're telling me if this game was in Dallas, that Dallas would be an 8-point prohibitive favorite?
5. Oh yeah, 8. You're right.
And that seems just crazy to me to think that Dallas is more than a touchdown better than the Chargers. The Chargers are poorly coached. Hey, guess what? So is Dallas. Mike McCarthy is not a great coach. Eckler seems to be, he's back this week. Again, he seems to be all right. The offense is humming along. We'll see if they get Quentin Johnson involved more. Because I usually like playing props in these kind of games. I don't know if this is a buy low spot on Dallas's offense after the way they look, because the Chargers defense can make anybody look pretty good. I kind of think this is whoever has the ball last wins. My advice here, as Dallas is typically a publicly bet team, I'd wait and see if you can get the Chargers at 3.5 or 3.
Yeah,
and then I'd jump.
You will too.
I think you will. Yeah.
Then I would jump.
Definitely, the public plays Dallas.
If you like Dallas, take them now. But for me, I'm gonna wait. And just I may as well finish off with the teaser stuff. I think the Chargers are a good teaser piece here too. If you're patient enough, you want to do a couple of days. Chargers over a touchdown. It feels like a close game to me. I think the line's accurate in terms of it being a close game, but
I agree. Barry, where are you at on this one? You got a strong opinion?
No, not a strong opinion. I just think these two teams are really inconsistent. I'd look probably into props on this game only because there's just it could just go either way, and it might end up being a really close game. You know, a prop that I was just thinking about maybe how many interceptions Dak throws
Yeah, that'd be
over
good.
under.
If
But
it's a close game, he'll throw more. He
exactly.
definitely chokes.
But yeah, you know, this will be an entertaining game for sure. It's just not one that I would want to place too many wagers on.
Yeah, I have the under barely 51.5. What do we have? Yeah, I have 51.5 now. It was 51 on this sheet here. I don't know where it's going to go off at, but I think you're right, Lou, to hold off on this game. We can probably get more into that in a few days. This game's almost a full week away, so who knows? But again, man, I think you're right about the whoever has the ball last could win. Both teams are just kind of meh. I mean, they both have a lot of talent. They both could be good, but neither one of them have showed it. They're inconsistent. They're all over the place. That's it, folks. That is all, 15 games? So I think we agreed on a lot of these, which is cool. I will put in the comments everybody's most confident plays. It seemed like we kind of aligned on maybe 3 or 4, but listen, we're approaching mid-season. You're starting to see some of the teams establish themselves, like my Lions. You're starting to see some teams fall out. You're starting to see some supremacy in certain areas, and it's going to be good, man. I think the NFL is, although with the exception of about 5 horrendous teams, a lot of parity again, man. A lot of those like 2 and 3 teams, like the you throw the Rams in there, the Saints, all those teams, they're all kind of the same to me. So it's going to be interesting down the stretch, see who can put their shit together and make the playoffs. Any last thoughts before we close this thing out? We went too long again, boys. Barry, any last thoughts on this card in general? Do you have like one favorite pick that stands out maybe?
KC.
There it is. Lou, got one that stands out for you?
Yeah, give me Indy. I like Indy. I like that we all aligned on it. I think the rationale was sound. And just remember to check the weather before you make any of your bets on Sunday, because we got some storms crawling in.
For my lock of the week, I'll say the Miami game over. I think the Dolphins are, like I said, I think they could put up the 48 by themselves. Gentlemen, it's been real. Let's do this again, week 6. Let's keep the winning record alive. Feed the kids. Please like and subscribe. Anybody want to plug anything, promote anything of their own? I know MMA Engine, Lou.
Lou Betya, MMA Engine, great prop shows, great MMA content. Interview with a guy that by the time you watch this will have fought last night. So if you won, please go watch the interview.
Barry, you got to cover anything? You want to promote anything?
No, I mean, you can come see my horse racing podcast, Going in Circles, every Monday. Big Monday show. It's out now. But you can catch me on Twitter, Urban Handicapper. There all day. Talk sports, horse racing, whatever you want. Movies, anything. I'm here for it.
Hell yeah, man. Good luck, guys. Have fun this weekend. Keep that bankroll in check. Peace.